This is Gemara Chulin, Daf Mem Ches, and we're holding on Mem Zayinim and Beis. We are 2 lines from the bottom of the Amid, Amar Rav Nachman, and we begin with Rav Nachman. Says, Reya Sheni Muka, continuing the discussion that really we're in the middle of, the discussion of the Reya of the lung. But now we have a Reya Sheni Muka that it decayed, but it decayed from the inside. And ukrum shalakayim, but it's krum, the outer membrane, still around. Says Rav Nachman Ksheir Tanam Yachi Reishin Imuka Krum Shalakayim Afilu Machzek Revias. Even if it can hold the Revias, it's going to be Ksheira. Even if it could hold so much, it's so putrefied, it's so decayed on the inside, it's still going to be Ksheira. Nitla. However, as we turn over to Memchasa Min Aleph, Nircha Shalfuche Shala Ksheira. If the womb was removed, the animal as well is still kosher. But Hitzliya, what happens if the liver becomes wormy? Nitliya kaved, if the liver becomes wormy, Shalom. This is a story. The people of Asya came, came up to Yavne for 3 regalim in a row. They wanted to know what is the halacha. They asked the Sanhedrin, the regal shalishi. On the 3rd regal, finally, hitiru lahem, they said it's going to be motor. Amar Rav Yosef, Arminimi, Amar Rav Nachman, 4th line down. If a lung is stuck to the wall, you do not have to be worried about it. Such an adhesion of the lung to the wall is not of concern. But also samachim. But if the lung is blistered, meaning around where the lung is stuck, if it has blisters, then chayshinla, then we are indeed worried about it, that it might have made a hole in the lung. Whereas on the other hand, Amar Yehuda Mishmei Avimu Amar Echadzeh chayshinla, both cases we have to be worried. Says Mar Yehuda that perhaps the adhesions, perhaps where the lung is connected, what might have happened, it might have punctured it. So Echi Avdinan. Says the Gemara, so what do we do? Since we're concerned that it might have caused this lesion to the lung, how do we check into it? Says the Gemara, Amar Rava, Ravan Bar Shava, Azrali, Maisinan Sakina, we bring a knife, the Chalish Pume, with a thin edge, Verkinala, and we carefully slice it. We're going to separate the lung from the wall, and then we're going to inspect to see what the story is. If there's a defect in the wall where the two are connected, then we say that has to do with the daif and the issue of the wall, and it's going to be kosher. Vilai, and if there's no defect, then what? We have to worry that it came from the lung itself. Nachas utreifa. It says the Gemara of Afal Gavdol Ka Mafka Zika, and this is a treifa. Even if the lung is so tight and no air could escape, still the adhesion itself we have to be concerned of, and therefore it's going to have a din of a treifa. On this vein, says the Gemara about 12 lines down, Rav Nachami Breder Rav Yosef Badik La Bibshuri, he would examine it by lukewarm water to see if indeed there was a hole through and through. Continues the Gemara. Amar le Mar Zocha Breder Ravuna Breder Rav Papi le Ravina Had Rav Nachemia Parade Rav Yosef Aton Aha Masnitala. You bring it in relation to this Mishnah. You tell me that you immersing it into lukewarm water is going to be the b'dika for the Mishnah we just said. But Anan Adarava Maisinallah, I learn it in the reference to the halacha of Rava that we learned 2 days ago. Dama Rava taught Anitarti Uni Dereya. These 2 lobes of the lung that are stuck to each other, bidikusa. There's no way to check them lachshure in order to make him mutter. We have to say that it's a treifa. So on this case, we learn meaning Rava said there's no way to check it, and this was the case. Kufa, the Rav Nechemia is teaching us. Indeed, he holds we could check it with the lukewarm water. So Masler Rav Ashi Haimai Bish Lamachtalin B'Dayfen Ukshera. In our case where it's stuck, we could understand, we could fathom that we could be toilet, that it came from the wall and it's going to be Kshera, Aval Hasam. But in the case of Nechemia, Aval Hasam, in the case of the two lobes are stuck together, Yahai Nakiv Trefa, V'Yahai Nakiv Trefa. So how could ever be a case it's going to be okay? So says the Gemara, let's go back to Lacha of Rav Nachman. Let's go back to where it's stuck to the wall and has this blister. We have to be worried that indeed render the animal the treifa. Does Rav Nachman really hold it in that we're quoting him to hold? From Rav Yosef, Bar Minumi Rav Nachman, Reish Shenikva V'Dayfen Saismasa Kshira. The lung was punctured and the wall seals up the puncture. It's going to be kosher. So what do we see? We see that Lamaisa, if the hole is sealed up, it's going to be kosher. So why did Rav Nachman say that if it's stuck to the wall, it's going to be a treifa? So explains the Gemara. Lo kasha. Why is it not a kasha? Hasam b'makam revisa, acha shaloi b'makam revisa. Says the Gemara, the difference is where it's in a place of growth, if it naturally lies against the chest wall, whereas, and that's where Rav Nachman held that it could indeed seal it up and we could test it, and it cannot be a treifa. It's not in the place of growth, it's in a different area now where it normally lies against each other, and therefore we have to be worried that it won't fully seal up the whole. Where is that? Says the Gemara, the separation of the lobes of the lungs, that's where it's going to be the Makayim Revisa. Gufa. Says the Gemara, let's dive a little bit deeper into this din of Rav Nachman. Amar Rav Yosef, Amar Rav Nachman, Reya shenikva v'dayfen seismasa. The Reya was punctured and the wall seals it up. Kshira. Amar Ravina says, Ravina b'desavich bibisra. That's only if the place of the hole is enmeshed with the meat, and therefore we can hold it, it can be plugged up. Not that it's stuck to the rib itself. So, but let's say it's not savich. Let's say it doesn't go all the way in. My treifa. But if that was true, Amina Nekuvahi, Iachi, Savich Nami. But if you tell me as the din of a nekuva, as the din of a hole, and it's going to be a treifa, so Iachi Savich Nami, if it's enmeshed, we should say the same thing. Tanya Niki Pasal Neshu Shai says Nistam Kashim Neshu Mailid. V'zeu Pasal Shechayzer Lech Shiroi. So says the Gemara of Zaulamute Mai, my Zaulamute Mai, Laulamute Kayamna is not going to be a Mai Davkar case where the lungs didn't have hole to be considered a treifa. So says the Gemara, when Ravina said that it's going to have a din of a treifa, we have to say it's not talking about a case where it's going to be fully enmeshed in the basar, because if not, we have a stira. Responds the Gemara, a different case that the scam form at the result of the wound, which is not a proper scab, and that's why it has different halachi. Says the Gemara, okay, let's go a little bit deeper into Rav Nachman's din, the chiddush of Rav Nachman, that the wall could be sealed up by the hole in the lung. So maskevla Rav Okva bar Chama, lines on the wide lines, hilu inkiv be'doivin lahadam my treifa. If the wall sealed up this hole, then there was another hole opposite it. So now there's clearly air that's going to be coming in and out. What's the halacha? So you're going to tell me it's treifa. So listing nekuvas adayfen. So then why didn't the Mishnah say such a case? Why isn't a hole in the wall listed as one of the treifas? Responds to the Gemara, L'tamei Chadam Rav Yosef bar Yosef Amar Rav Yochanan, Mar shenikva v'kavi says masa k'sheira ilu inkiv kavi lahada my treifa. So like in nikuva v'kavi, so the same issue. Why doesn't the Mishnah list Nekuva akavid, if the liver has a hole in it. El kinikva delamina mitarfa. So rather, what are we going to have to respond? We're going to have to respond El kinikva delamina mitarfa loikatani. In a case where the hole is not because of the issue, then it's going to be a treifa. We don't say such a case. Hachanami loikatani. Hachanami kivim delamina mitarfa loikatani. So it's going to have to be almost that it's a sidebar issue, and therefore it won't be listed. So says the Gemara, okay, on the first white line, Ba'iminei, Rabbi Bar Chana, Mishmuel, Hel sa simachin ma'u. A new case, but what is the halacha if the lungs have blisters on it? What is the animal going to be considered a treifa? Amalek sheira, Amalek afani, Omer kain, El shatamidim is danzin b'davar. I also said it was kosher. However, the Talmidim were mizdanzin b'davar. They were unsure. Rav Nasna taught Malam Mugla Treifa that if Tula plus is a Sheifa, Mayim Zakim, it's going to be ksheir. So Talmidim were bothered. Over there by Rav Nasma's by the entire kidney, not over here by the lungs, and therefore a surface level issue won't be a problem by us. It says the Gemara, let's show a few stories of Yitzchak bar Yosef. Hadikazol basrei de Rav Yirmiyah b'shuka. He's by Rav Yirmiyah. The Tabcha and Rav Yirmiyah, b'shuka the Tabcha in the butcher's market. Chazunu lanach d'hem etzirchli simichi. So they saw there was the lungs that were full of blisters. Amar lei, Rav Yirmiyah said, Rav Yitzchak bar Yosef says, Rav Yirmiyah loy bayi mar umsa. Do you not want some raw meat? Amar lei, Rav Yirmiyah said, Leslie, Preeti, I don't have any money. Amar lei, Rav Yitzchak says to Akbanana, allow you to buy in credit. Amar lei, Maya avid l'cha. What should I tell you? He responds, Maya avid l'cha t'chiasu l'kamei to Rav Yecha misrad. Mishadu l'kamei to Rav Yudah Rav Shimon. They said Rav Yudah Rav Shimon. De'mayir ba mishvei to Rav Elazar Rav Shimon. Le'atira. But v'les le'sfir le'i. So says the Gemara, Amar Ravina. Amar Ravina ki avim v'signina b'aseder Rav Nachman v'shuka. And now another story that whenever he was behind Rav Nachman in the shuk, as we turn over to Memchas Amid Beis, the Galdi, the shuk of leather workers, Chazin Kinegdi Kandi, I see lungs that were full of blisters, and he didn't say anything to the vendors. Clearly he held it's mutter. Avirazi avichalbi b'shukah l'tiveria chazi hanach dekem in v'loyam v'lamidi, again proving this halacha that it must be kosher. Continues the Gemara Itmar Machat shenimtze bereya, the needle is found in the lung after the shechita. Rav Shimon like Rav Yimani bar Ba'atesh Rav Shimon al Yakum Tarfi. So what's the machlekes of the needle found? Nevakim Efli Demar Savchasar Mibifnim Shemeichsar Marsar Lo Shemeichsar. So just the Gemara, the difference is going to be if it lacking something internally, the needle made a hole from the inside. Is that going to be a problem? So that's not a shayla. Two different ways of viewing the case. Do we view that the needle went through and came out, and there was no reason to assume it gave a puncture to anything else? No, that the needle went through and it's making holes one after another in all the vital lungs. Says the Gemara that they found in a cut section of the lung. I surely come in there of Hami. Says the Gemara, my chas yilim bachotz. Hainu nikva. It's the same case. Allah mivnim shamina chasar mivnim shmei chisar, and the leg is like internally. It's considered as a chisarin. Says the Gemara, so what's lemaisa hadar shadruah? 5 lines, why lines like there? He thought. Excuse me, thought to be a mutter. Aser of Yirmiyah very tamer of Zikra. Reish and Ikva Chasra. My Chasra. Ilim Mechos. I don't kiva. Elam if never Shamina Chazar name Sheikhazara. Another Shadrod. He said back out to the Gemara Ami Vitarfu. Amrulei v'alu Rabbana machshir Amrulei Heinei nechshiru she'odin izeh mehem izeh tam nechshiru. So yes, they said it was kosher, but only based on the aforementioned reasons that we had. Let's stop over here. We'll pick it up from Hadar Shadri, the Committee of Asi, in the last. We're going to leave over Hadar Shadri, the Committee of Asi, V'siyata Dishmai.